Dark Night of the Soul, Depersonalization Explained. The modern world has recently been deemed with several technological advancements and items, diverse religious beliefs, and uprising ideologies. And some of these 21st century gifts tend to doubt the existence of spirituality, laying out critique, distractions, and some non-spiritual activities that would make us feel that we're nothing more than a life force that's assembled itself into a complex being over a couple of years. When we hear these messages, we often feel there's nothing more to this life, further putting our interest in mundane things that feel good. But that's just an illusion. There is more to life than what meets the eye. And we all have distinct yet diverse purposes, which we're meant to fulfill to keep our spiritual life in good shape, and our physical lives too. To help us get on track with this purpose, some events, significant or not, would spark up a dark era in our lives, known as the Dark Night of the Soul. The Dark Night of the Soul often serves as a solemn reflective path that leads to awareness about spirituality and who you are. Only on some people's quest for spiritual awakening, passing through the Dark Night of the Soul, do they get to a level where they feel depersonalization or derealization, which makes everything about life seem like a mirage. The reason behind such experiences is the topic for the day. We would have to start by exploring and explaining the Dark Night of the Soul, because you can't understand depersonalization if you don't truly understand what the Dark Night of the Soul feels like. Pulling its etymology from the poem, the Declaration, the Dark Nights, the author, St. John of the Cross, narrates some of the tribulations faced by the soul as it sojourns on a mystical union with God. He further makes it clear that the experience of the Dark Night of the Soul does not refer to the usual tribulations of life in general, but rather to the spiritual accession of the soul while it still has a body. This is to show you that the Dark Night of the Soul is a dark era when the soul communicates with the spiritual, forcing your body to attune itself to what it wants. It often happens when you drift away from the path at the source, pulling you back to recollect your past actions and awaken to your supposed purpose. When it happens, you'll notice that most activities you previously enjoyed seem like a stressful endeavor. So your family, neighbors, and friends can hardly help, even if they're spiritually aware, like knowing what's happening to you. Plus, you'll withdraw from most social activities, for the Dark Night of the Soul is a personal journey. We've mentioned before that the Dark Night of the Soul would rob you of the social activities you did previously, and detach you, in a way, from the people you love, to allow you to delve deep into yourself and get to be spiritually awakened. To explain depersonalization or derealization, we would use a simple illustration. Imagine that you were an adult when your Dark Night of the Soul crept in, and as a teenager you were born into a family of clerks. And it's what everyone in your household is known for. So you had this feeling that you were meant to be a clerk, though sometimes it doesn't feel right to you. And while growing up, you gave in so much effort to becoming one. Then, passing through the Dark Night of the Soul, you discover that the dream you held on to for years is not what you were actually meant to do, and you have another purpose other than that. The more you try and analyze how to do it, you get the more explicit message that they're not related. That's what depersonalization feels like. How broken you'll think that your past life has been a waste of time. Some even get to think that they've been living in an illusion. That is the feeling of depersonalization in the Dark Night of the Soul. We want to note that it is possible to feel depersonalized even if you didn't pass through or are not in the Dark Night of the Soul. Some events can come up in your life which can make you feel that things are not real and believe in nihilism. It can be a near-death experience that you had due to an accident, or the feeling that lived in you after being betrayed by someone you trusted very much, or in some cases, suffering from mental illness. Though such events can lead to Dark Night of the Soul, If it doesn't, and you feel depersonalized, you might need medical attention. You might need medical attention. For most people that find themselves depersonalized by the dark night of the soul, the surreal feeling creeps in toward the end of your dark night, or while you're in it already. Because while you're pressed down by the dark night of the soul and recollect most of your life actions, you would get to see things that make you feel that you haven't been living life, or that life has been meaningless. That's the depersonalization that comes with these nights. In these, you don't necessarily need medical attention to get your life back in shape. But if it's getting out of hand, it is advisable to seek some. Depersonalization makes you feel a lot of things aren't worth it. It requires a solid mind to break through it, get fully spiritually awakened, and understand life for what it is. But for those that would need medical attention, here are some of the things that they would feel excessively. Feelings that they are an outside observer of their thoughts, feelings, their body, or parts of their body. For example, they would feel like they were floating on air, feeling like they're robots or not in control of their speech or movements. Sometimes they can sense that their body, legs, or arms are distorted, enlarged or shrunken, or that their head is wrapped in cotton. Emotional or physical numbness of their senses or responses to the world around them. Maybe sense that their memories lack emotion, and that they may or may not be their memories. The dark night of the soul is a spiritual vacation. However, you might be lucky not to face it as you scale through. But if you do, meet it meticulously, and seek medical care if you feel it's getting out of hand. Still, because your soul is still in your body while embarking on it, depersonalization or derealization is one of the phases you will pass before becoming spiritually aware of your life.
Don't forget to subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified of subsequent updates. Thanks for watching!